Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started with the Monday Night Cares Net in just a couple of minutes, right at 7 o'clock. Get yourself something cool to drink, hold the chair, make sure your fans are running. Make sure my radio's turned up so y'all can hear it. See, Nolan's already checked in on the Echo Link, so he should be joining us via the network. Good evening, Jason. Hope you're doing well. Nope. Nolan's off now. He was on Echo Link. It's too hot to be outside, Jason. Go home, get the air conditioning.
It is 7 p.m. This is the K5VZC repeater system.
There we have it. I guess it's time to get started. Good evening, everybody. This is K85 KJZ, and it's now time for the Canton Area Radio Emergency Services Monday Night Net. Being here is Randy, located about 4 miles south of Canton off of 198. I'll be your net control for tonight's care. Get the junk out of my throat so I can talk. CARES is the Canton Area Radio Emergency Services Radio Club. This net is held on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. local time on the K5EZC repeater system going 147.200 over in Wills Point, which is our main repeater, 444.975 over in Primrose, 442.875 over in the Kaufman area, and lastly the 444.800 over at the Silo. And this net is open to all amateur radio license holders and encourage you to join in and participate. The CARES Radio Club meets monthly on the third Wednesday evening of every month at 6:30 p.m. And that's at the Van Zandt County Library when they're not having voting, which they were last time. That's on FM 859 next to the Blackwell Historic Home. All interested parties are welcome to attend. The purpose of the net is to build amateur radio use throughout Van Zandt and Kaufman County by providing a venue for operators to become comfortable and proficient in speaking over the public airways, so that, should an emergency arise in our community, we'll be ready to help transmit and receive emergency messages. If at any time you have an emergency and you need to check out, call in with break, and we'll take that call immediately. Is there any emergency traffic at this time? We're going to pause for emergency traffic only. 85 KJZ. 85 KJZ. Well, that's always good to hear, or not hear in this particular case. So we'll go ahead and start our check-ins. We need to check in. Give me just your call sign, slowly and phonetically, so I can get you into the log for tonight's net. This is K85 KJZ taking check-ins.
Juliet 5, Hotel Charlie Golf.
Charlie 5, Charlie Mike Bravo.
Kilo Juliet 5 Foxtrot Lima Whiskey.
Oh, Nolan's microphone's a little hot on Echo Link.
Kilo Foxtrot 7, Sierra Oscar X-Ray.
Short list tonight. I will now go ahead and recognize KJ5HCG, KC5CMB, KJ5FLW, and KF7SOX. Any additional check-ins for tonight's net? K5KJZ. Well, maybe not. That's all right. It's pretty warm this evening, so maybe folks couldn't get out this evening. All right, when I call on you, if you would give us your name, approximate location, and whether or not you got any traffic for the net this evening or any announcements. We'll start off with KJ5HCG.
G, I'm about 10 miles south of Canton, 1 mile east of Highway 19, and I am on broadcasting on the silo 44800, and I have no traffic.
All right, Charlie G, good to hear you this evening, sir. Coming in loud and clear through the silo. Next on our list, Mr. KC5CMB.
And this is Gary, and I'm sitting out in Wise, about 15 miles outside of town, or 12-hour mesh it is. No traffic for the net at the moment.
All right, good evening to you, Mr. Gary. Next on our list, KJ5FLW.
Hello, this is Nolan. I'm about a half mile off 80 south of Wills Point. No traffic.
All right, good evening to you, Mr. Nolan. Coming in very loud and clear. You might want to see if you can turn your Echolink mic gain down just a little bit, almost over deviating, but coming in plenty loud. All right, next on our list is KF7SOX.
Good evening, all. This is Marie, KF7SOX. Transmitting mobile, Canton. No traffic.
All right, good evening, Marie. Good to hear you as always. All right, let's see if there's anybody else that would like to join us for this evening's net. Any additional check-ins? This is KD5KJZ. Cody? No, Kevin's not going to make it. Hello, Misty. Hope you're doing well, sir. I don't know if they're doing ready for the World Cup or not. That's over in Dallas. That's a good 60 miles away from here. And it's hot. All right. Well, no additional check-ins at this time. So just want to remind everybody that tomorrow is Taco Tuesday. So come on out and have some of them wonderful, marvelous tacos over at the DQ over in Canton. We'll get there probably about 5:30-ish. And everybody's welcome. You don't necessarily have to eat, but come on out and have a chit chat. And I heard from Mr. Kevin via text. He's not going to be able to join us this evening. He's got some issues at his shack, so he's not going to be able to join us for a bad dad joke. So if anybody happens to have one, chime in and we'll get that in the log. Anybody got a bad dad joke for us? All right, no problem. I don't particularly have one. Just wondering if everybody got my email over the weekend about the Richardson Radio Club and their balloon launch that they do several times a year, and whether or not you were able to listen. Maybe not transmit. I was able to transmit and get in through their repeater. But anybody happen to give that a listen over the weekend? Nobody? Yeah, 60 miles just down the road, just over yonder. Yeah. Alrighty, I take it that nobody did, so that's all right. But my questions are all centered around a simplex repeater. So that was something they put up again this year. Was a simplex DMR repeater, and it had some very good coverage, especially from forgot how high they said it was, something like 50 or 60,000 feet in the air before the balloon burst. And they had coverage on a small little transmitter that was on the balloon that went up into Oklahoma and covered into Louisiana, and as far west from what I heard as far as Abilene. So that was some really good coverage for a balloon. '77, folks getting sunburnt. Yep, that's for sure. Rain is back though. Yeah, we're expecting some rain later this week. All right. Well, like I say, my questions are centered around a simplex repeater. How do you have a simplex repeater? We all know about duplex repeaters. You transmit on one frequency and you listen on another. Simplex is what? What makes a simplex repeater? Anybody?
KF7SOX.
Go ahead, Marie. Start us off with an answer.
Transmit and receive on the same frequency on a simplex repeater. KF7SOX.
All right. Yep, that's correct. Same frequency, up and down. So there has to be something internal to the radio part of it, no matter what kind it is, to do something in addition to listening on one frequency and repeating back out on the same frequency. So what would that normally be called? What's the additional function that a simplex repeater would have to have? All right. Well, anybody got a thought on that one? What additional function would a simplex repeater have to have? So you got one radio, and it has to have something built into it, or a function that's built into it, that would allow it to retransmit on the same frequency. Anybody on the line got a guess?
Seven SOX.
All right, go ahead, Marie.
Right, but some sort of recording device inside
There you go.
that'll transmit it back out after you transmit it in.
You are on the right track. Yes, indeed. So whatever the radio is that you're using would have to have some internal memory of some kind. And the function that they're looking for is store and forward. So when it's keyed up and receiving a transmission, it's not transmitting it back out because it only uses one frequency. So it's storing your audio on internal memory. And so as soon as you unkey, it plays it back. So with that in mind, what would be a very good advantage of having a simplex repeater? Nobody's answering tonight, other than Marie. All right. Well, the one main advantage of having a simplex repeater is that it's very light. You only have one radio. There are some HTs out there that have that store and forward function built into them. So it comes in quite handy for, in this case, a balloon launch where they had it thousands of feet in the air. Or let's say you had an emergency here locally and knocked out all your power. You could put a simplex repeater aloft on a mast, on a very low altitude balloon, on just about anything. And so it would be a good way to increase your footprint without having to do point to point. All right, so that's an advantage of a simplex repeater. What would be a disadvantage of a simplex repeater?
A58CG.
Yes, sir, Charlie. What answer do you have for us?
It's a shot in the dark. How about the inability to link?
Well, that is definitely one of them, sir. Definitely. Yep, you wouldn't want to be able to to link because all of the store and forward information that it's doing is all done internal. So you couldn't really link it because it would never know when to unkey and replay the transmission. You also can't do any kind of a break-in. Like sometimes we'll have a double, two people trying to get in at the same time. You wouldn't have that. So once once a transmission is done and it starts its playback, you can't break in any way. Now, in the case of the one that was being used by the Richardson Club over the weekend on Saturday, was a DMR handheld that was put on the balloon. So it was all done with DMR, which is a less wide footprint. So it's using only 12.5 kilohertz. And it's all in zeros and ones. It's a digital transmission instead of analog. So it's not taking near as much power to get up and or down. So there's another advantage. So like I say, they were using DMR as their tone, squelch, whatever you want to call it. What would be another way to access and keep it from just receiving any kind of transmission over the air? I didn't mean to stump everybody, but that's okay. So you could set it up in analog as well, and use a DCS or tone or anything like that. You just wouldn't have a shift like you normally would for a repeater because again, it's simplex. All right, well, I guess that's about all for you on this evening. If anybody's got any additional questions about simplex repeaters, holler back. We'll get you an answer. And it's always a fun topic. Interesting to have. Can be very handy. So with that, I guess we'll go ahead and draw this one to a close. We've got a small list of folks this week. And hope everybody can make it out for the Taco Tuesday tomorrow. If you're not eating, that's fine too. Just come on by and have a chit chat with us. So we'll go ahead and start at the bottom of the list with Marie, KF7SOX. Any additional comments?
Thanks, Randy, for running the net. Nothing else, no other comments. 7-3, y'all. KF7SOX back to net control.
All right. Thanks, Marie, for stopping in and joining us this evening. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Next on the list, KJ5FLW.
Appreciate you running that, Randy. Enjoy the questions. Hope everyone has a safe rest of the week. KJ5 FSW, back to net.
Good to hear you, Nolan. You have a good evening, sir. Next on the list, KC5CMD.
As everyone has said, thank you for running the net. That Richardson Club, do they have a newsletter of some sort that we can sign up for to get announcements on those? Because I got your email a little late to tune in. And back to the net at this point.
I think so. The way I got it was through the DMRTexas.io group. But I think if you go to K5RWK.org, you can find out some more about the recent balloon launch, as well as I think they have a way to sign up for their own newsletter on the webpage. I don't recall. But like I say, I got it through the DMRTexas.io group. All right, next on our list is KJ5HCG.
Sir, Randy, appreciate you running that. Very interesting topic tonight. I enjoyed that. I do have one question about the Richardson launch. Do they have to have FCC and FAA approval, or neither one?
Yes, in fact, they do. They get FAA clearance as well as FCC clearance. Like I say, they do this a couple of times, 3, maybe even 4 times a year. So it's very interesting. This one, they launched it from the Carrollton area. Balloon came down somewhere over near Greenville. I know they've done one and launched it from the Houston area. And I think, if I remember correctly, they picked it up somewhere around Beaumont.
That is good. And one other question. What happens to the equipment that is on the balloon when it comes back to Earth? I'll be back to net.
Yeah, another good question. Well, they have parachutes. So once the balloon bursts and it starts to descend, they have parachutes that deploy and slow the payload down. So evidently, this particular launch, they had some strange winds down close to the ground, and so the balloon began to launch, and it came back down rather suddenly and ended up smacking the ground and breaking a few of the instruments that were on board. But then it lifted off, and several of them were good, and even the camera was still good. So if you go to the K5RWK.org website, you can look up more information on that. They got some really good pictures on there. All right. Well, if nothing else, I guess we'll go ahead and draw this one to a close. It's a few minutes before 7:30. I hope I get to see everybody on a face-to-face QSO tomorrow. Eyeball QSO, as it's known. If you can make it over to the Dairy Queen, you can. We'll have a taco or some chit-chat together. This is K5KJZ. We're going to draw this one to a close. 7-3. All right, everybody online. Misty, you as well. Don't want to leave you out. Hope you stay well and enjoy your weather. Nice and cool over there.
K5 KJZ, KJ5 FLW.
Yes, sir, Mr. Nolan. Go right ahead, sir. All right, y'all. Have a good week. We'll see you again next week.
Try to holler at you on DMR. If you wasn't able to.